Hi, Jennifer. How are you?
Hi, good. How are you?
I'm doing wonderfully. Thank you. Thanks so much for joining me to talk about wonder pets in the city. I didn't realize my kids are at different ages, so I didn't realize that this actually has been around for quite a few years. You went from directing a few years of it to executive producing it, along with some other kids' shows. What's your background and why are you, and no pun intended, why are you drawn to kids' entertainment shows?
Good question. Well, I mean, I've always wanted to be in animation as a storyteller. It goes back to, when I was really like maybe 6 or 7 years old. I used to cut comics out of the newspaper. I was a fan of the Peanuts, and I had this little journal, and I would paste them in and read them, and I would sort of draw my own versions. And then one day I saw the Charlie Brown Christmas special, and I realized I had this aha moment, like, oh, wait a minute, I can make drawings move. And I was so excited about that. I told my mom, and she believed me. And so she really encouraged me. She found all these classes for me to take. I made my first short film really young. So anyway, like fast forward to I've been sort of like working towards this sort of like career in animation and kids TV for quite a while. So it's definitely a passion of mine.
That's fantastic. And I love hearing stories when people credit moms for helping them get to where they are.
Oh, I credit her. I mean, she did. She wasn't like, okay, whatever, honey. She was just like, okay, this is what you want to do. Great. I'm gonna get you in this animation class, and then I'm gonna like get you to take this painting class, and then you're gonna do this. And like she was really like, she saw that I had this like um, passion, for animation, and she really supported that.
I've watched a couple of the episodes and I'm struck by the fact that there's so much wonderful positive messaging about empathy and compassion. Can you tell me in this particular season, what's important to you?
When I was first imagining, what this new iteration of the Wonder Pets could be, I sort of asked myself, why now? Why are we bringing it, to the screen all these years later? And on the original, we definitely touched on, what you're talking about, the empathy, compassion, but more like from episode to episode. Our core focus was the sort of idea of these three cats who have no real superpowers that come together with their unique perspectives and personalities. And when they're together, they can do really powerful things. So this like idea of teamwork and collaboration. So that's still at the heart of the spinoff. But we challenged ourselves for this new series to tell deeper stories of inclusivity and compassion, empathy, kindness, this sort of like joy of helping others. And so it wasn't just like one or two episodes, it was like every episode we want to hit on one of these topics.
Very good. It's so important in today's world. Thank you for doing that. It's starting at a young age to teach these values and these concepts. That's so important. In developing and working with your team, as you said, it's really important to understand child development. Can you tell me a little bit about your team and what their backgrounds are? Because, different concepts have to be delivered in different ways for different ages.
Yeah, that's a great point. We don't research test every story, but we have this sort of intuition for the ones that we need to get more help with. So we have consultants that we reach out to when needed. So there have been like a number of episodes where we've reached out to a variety of different consultants to help us get it right and to communicate the messages on screen in an age appropriate way. So an example is we had an episode where they help a panda over Lunar New Year, a red panda. And so we wanted to make sure that we were getting that culture right, and that even, writing the script, but also, going a step further to when we spoke some of the words, we wanted to make sure that the language was right. So we had a consultant come and join the voice record. so that the kids were getting the pronunciations of the language correct. So that's just one example, but sort of across the board, we definitely tapped into a community of experts.
Very good. I'm glad you brought that example up. I am a former speech language pathologist, and so I worked with 0 to 3-year-olds. So as I watched this immediately, and my daughter's also a speech path, I keyed into the fact that 2 of the 3 characters, main characters, have articulation difficulties. One does W for R, one does TH for S. What was the decision-making process in incorporating these differences into these characters?
Yeah, I mean, it was definitely conscious. On the original, Ming Ming also had a different way of speaking that was unique to her character. She had her "This is furious" catchphrase, and we wanted to do something similar for at least one of the characters. But instead of putting out a casting call, sort of looking for that, we didn't actually put that in the brief. We just sort of put out a call, and then we waited to see what came back. You know what I mean? Because we wanted the kids to have their sort of like own natural way of saying things. And it just turned out that 2 of our mains, hit the mark on what we were looking for there.
Oh, that is so interesting. Very good. Thank you for sharing that.
It's definitely something we were looking for, and it was part of our decision making process in the casting.
Tell me how you feel like the characters have changed over the years, and maybe, that's a whole generation of children that have gone from, beginning to now. So how do you feel like the characters have changed and how that might reflect our world?
Yeah, that's a great question. I mean, so for this series, we have 3 brand new pets that live in the city. So on the original, we had a guinea pig, a duckling, and a turtle. So the idea is like this is a brand new pod of animal saving, opera singing pets. And so we do have a guinea pig. So that's a similarity. I thought it would be kind of fun if maybe every one of these pods all around the world, wherever they might be, whichever classroom, we're visiting, because that was the idea, that there could be lots of these pods, this sort of vast network of animal savers all around the world. And we get to meet, one in a big city for this new series. So the idea that there's this guinea pig is sort of the leader, although our guinea pig for the city iteration, she's very different from the original guinea pig. The original guinea pig was more the sort of straight up the middle leader, didn't make a lot of mistakes, was this voice of reason between the other 2, whereas Izzy is a little bit more of a sort of leap before you look kind of character, this sort of irreverent punk rock, sort of scrappy, type that sort of sets her apart from our original guinea pig. And then the other 2 are just completely different pets. So we've got a black bunny named Zuri, who's this like bundle of silly go, go, go energies. She's the youngest member of the group. And then we've got Tate the snake, who, is this lovable hugger,
Right.
going against type, basically, because what you expect a snake to be is like slimy and scary and sneaky, but he is the exact opposite of that.
The animation is just so vibrantly unique to me anyway. Can you tell me about the stylistic animation and your thought process behind that type? I am not an artist, so if you can tell me that would be awesome.
Sure. So the original style is photopuppetry. So and we sort of use that same style for this spin-off, which is great. So instead of pushing into a new, more contemporary, maybe 3D look, we stayed true to the original photo puppetry style, this sort of like charming way of moving photos, real photos, frame by frame. So the idea is that we take real animals and we photograph them. We photograph, all the positions that are needed, like the different head positions, the different hand positions, the foot positions, and then we bring those all into the computer, and we're basically creating a paper doll, like a paper doll, but it's a rig. It's sort of like these photos that come together to create this animation.
I have one last question for you. What is the one episode that you're super excited for kids and parents to see and to initiate conversation afterwards? That's what I find so cool about the series, is that I think it can, even no matter how young the child is, you can bring that into their real world of living and playing with other children, and making sure that, you know, they're understanding compassion at a young age. So which episode are you most excited about?
My goodness, it's so hard to pick just one.
So
Uh, but you know, I'm proud of, actually I'm proud of all of them, to be quite honest. And I think they all like, you know, have something going for them that makes them, you know, special in a different way. But the one that, like, you know, gets me is that there's this one where they go to visit an elephant at an animal sanctuary, who's blind and can't find his way to the watering hole. And there's just something so sweet and endearing and just honest about that episode. You know, it's one of our simpler stories, but you know, we cast a kid who is blind, and his voice is just cuts through your heart, adorable, you know, coming out of this elephant. And that is one that we did get a lot of consultation on, just to really make sure that we were showing everything in the right way and talking about everything in the right way. I just love it. It's so honest. There's this moment when they first meet the elephant, and Ming Ming, not Ming Ming, Ming Ming, I'm going back to the original, Zuri, the bunny, you know, doesn't actually understand, you know, why this elephant asks if he can feel them, so he can know who they are. And you know, she's like, why would you want to do that? And then he sings this really sweet song explaining why. And anyway, that it's a really special episode. I think it was a lot of conversation.
Fantastic. Jennifer, thank you so much for talking with me about Wonder Pets in the City, coming out on Apple TV.
Thank you.